She just looked at me very blankly, like, okay, thank you. And I walked very meekly back into Humphrey Yogurt.
Yeah. And I went up to her and I said, hi, I love you in this soft and dry deodorant commercial. That's all that could come out of my mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And she was so gracious. This was such a pivotal moment for me.
Breaking right now, Meghan Markle lied again in the podcast with Jamie Kern-Lima, this time about her apparent life-changing encounter with the Baywatch actress Yasmine Bleeth. So this is a story that Meghan has trotted out quite a lot over the years, and you'll remember back in the 90s, if you're my age, that Yasmine Bleeth was a big deal. She starred on Baywatch alongside Pamela Anderson. She was glamorous. She was beautiful. She was the all-Californian 1990s girl, everything Meghan Markle aspired to be. But what's so fascinating, and while this story is not necessarily that consequential, I think it provides a microcosm of what Meghan does with everything. Changes the narrative based on what feels convenient at the time. So Paula M has done the most incredible research on this to reveal the changing shape of Meghan Markle's encounter with Yasmine Bleeth. We'll get analysis from Link Lauren, but first watch this.
Yasmine Bleeth. That's the only one I ever wrote. And then I saw her. I used to work at a frozen yogurt store in LA. It was my first job. It was called Humphrey Yogurt. And I saw her in the parking lot. And what do I say to her? The most ridiculous thing you could say. Oh my God.
My first job was at a frozen yogurt place called Humphrey Yogurt. I was taking the trash out from my job and I see Yasmine Bleeth. And I cannot believe I'm seeing Yasmine Bleeth, and I'm holding this bag of trash, and
she just looked at me very blankly, like, okay, thank you. And I walked very meekly back into Humphrey Yogurt.
yeah. And I went up to her and I said, hi, I love you in this soft and dry deodorant commercial. That's all that could come out of my mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And she was so gracious. This was such a pivotal moment for me. But this moment was so influential for me because she turned around and she goes, hi, sweetheart, what's your name? First thing I learned. I was like, I'm Meghan. And that moment, I was like, she cares to know what my name is. And then she's like, hi, I'm Yasmine. I know who she is, but she introduced herself. And that even in this day and age, that things can be printed that just aren't true. I think that's really hard to wrap your head around, especially at the volume that it happens when it comes to me.
Link Lauren, she's the only liar. I mean, Paula M has caught her red-handed. And how can such a pivotal moment in your life go from being Yasmine Bleeth walks off completely not interested in you to Yasmine Bleeth gives me the type of encounter that completely changed the way that I dealt with the public?
Well, like a lot of sociopaths and narcissists, Meghan Markle has a hard time keeping her story straight. To go back to what I said earlier, when she accused the royal family of racism, she couldn't really find her way out of that one, right? She couldn't really pin it on one person. She had no real evidence that they were racist toward her. It was also like when she made this claim that they took her passport and she was driven to suicide, but then she went to New York to party with Serena Williams and have her baby shower and pose for the paparazzi, right? So how'd you get there without a passport if you were locked away in the castle? So no, I don't really believe almost anything that comes out of Meghan Markle's mouth. And that interview, I don't know that woman who was interviewing her because I have a life, but that interview that's been all over the internet was not good for Meghan Markle. Meghan Markle's publicist deserves a raise because not only is she dealing with an insane woman, she's dealing with stories that change from Monday to Tuesday to Wednesday. And Meghan Markle, she sits there in that interview and she's like, I'm doing the no makeup look. I'm just doing no makeup California girl. I'm sorry, you might want to put on some makeup, sweetheart. This no makeup look is not serving you well. These women think they're brave doing the no makeup look. I'm sure Meghan Markle thinks she's making some feminist statement by doing no makeup. I'm sorry, soldiers are brave. Moms working 3 jobs and raising a sick child, they are brave. You sitting there in no makeup and talking about your feelings, you are not this brave feminist icon that you think you are, Meghan. And also Baywatch, I've never seen an episode of Baywatch.
What?
So Meghan is trying to...
What?
I know. Take my card.
You're too young.
my card.
You're too
I know,
young,
if
Link.
Meghan-
It's the greatest
if
show of
Meghan
all
is-
time.
I know. I need to watch it. I really do. But if Megan is trying to appeal to Gen Z, talking about this actress from Baywatch is probably not the way to do it. And then sitting on this podcast crying and talking about your feelings, can't you just be strong for once? Can't you just go out there and do an interview or a podcast without being brought to tears? And it's always the women who say, I'm happier than ever. I've just never, ever been happier in my life. Why are you crying every day? You don't seem happy, but you're a sociopath and you're probably crying to get the reaction you think you want from the public, which is sympathy. Boo-hoo for you, Meghan Markle. I'm so sorry. It's hard being famous and rich and living in a mansion in Montecito with a full-time staff, and all you have to do is like put your name on some jams and jelly. I'm so sorry you get a little bit of bad press.
No, very true. I have two things to say about that, Link. Firstly, absolutely horrified you've never watched Baywatch, but I know you're so much younger than me. Secondly, you know, at the Met Gala
please.
this week, and Megyn Kelly, I mean, she tore into the Met Gala for very good reason.
Right.
But I was so disgusted with the Daily Mail because this is Pamela Anderson, right, who was a legend of Baywatch. And the Mail was saying, oh, what's she done? She's aged so terribly. It's like, I think she looks beautiful and she has aged with grace and dignity without a whole load of plastic surgery. So I really hated that criticism of Pamela Anderson, just as an aside. But I think when it comes to Yasmin Bleeth story, why this one really matters to me, Link, is that if Meghan Markle cannot tell the truth about a meeting with Yasmin Bleeth that she said changed her life, then why the hell should we believe her when she claims that she told senior members of the royal family that she was suicidal and they ignored her? When she claims that there were racist members of the royal family, when she claims that she didn't bully her staff despite a whole long list of accusations. It's like the small lies matter because they paint such a bigger picture about the human being that we're dealing with. And it's interesting as well, Link, because do you remember she cried in this podcast? And again, people have looked very closely at this, and I spoke about it in my interview with Megyn Kelly earlier in the week, but Megyn Kelly pointed out, and we've got the clip here, that if you look really closely, there are actually no tears. So look at the video. Link, you can see that she doesn't have any tears.
No, absolutely. Like I said, I think she is a narcissist and a sociopath. So she's probably doing these fake tears, this fake crying, because Meghan Markle for years has tried to be a victim. Her whole life story is woe is me. I grew up above a garage and I used to have to play in the back and this and that. And I was the weird girl and the nerdy girl. And I wrote a letter to get the detergent commercial change. Who gives a shit? Shut up. So no, Meghan Markle, she's always been full of crap. She's always trying to cry and be the victim because that was profitable, right? Meghan Markle comes from an era of Hollywood where being a victim really got you a lot of press and attention. But now we're in this post-Me Too era where someone like Blake Lively, she can come out and say, oh, all these horrible things happened to me. We look at the facts, we go, you're not the victim here, we hate you, and then we move on. And I think Meghan Markle is still living in that era from about 10 years ago, where if a woman comes out and says, I was wronged, I was driven to suicide, take it on face value. It's horrible if she was driven to suicide. It's horrible if her mental health wasn't great, but that's on you. Why is it the royal family's job to constantly appease you and to take care of your feelings? You're a 40-something-year-old woman. You should be able to self-soothe, right? They teach little kids how to self-soothe. So Meghan Markle, if she was so depressed and so sad, number one, she didn't look that way in New York for her baby shower. She didn't really seem to be that way. This is a narrative that was brought up after the fact in the sit-down interview with Oprah. But also, what is she supposed to do? She wants the queen, who's in her 90s, to say, oh, let's get her a car and send her off to a facility. Does she want Charles to step in? That's for you and your husband to deal with. So for her saying, I went to the royal family and I was so depressed and was so sad and they wouldn't help me, you're like a 40-something-year-old woman, actress, who's been living on your own in California and Canada. If you can't take care of yourself, that's on you. That's your problem, Dan.
100% it is. Of course it is. You're an adult. And your husband, by the way, ran a mental health charity called Heads Together that was all about allowing people to seek help if they were struggling with mental health issues. So he's hardly a good husband. I don't buy it though, Link, because if you look at this picture here, this was the night at the Royal Albert Hall when Meghan Markle claims that the moment the lights went down, she burst into tears. Well, I'm sorry, I call bullshit on that. I've sat in those boxes at the Royal Albert Hall. Trust me, if you were in the royal box, everyone is watching you that entire night. Everyone has the selfies out. You're not in the dark. If she was sobbing like she claimed to be at the Royal Albert Hall, there would have been pictures of it. So it just didn't happen. But anyway, I also know that she's an actress, right? Not a particularly good actress, but do you know one of her skills, Link? And she's been very open about it, making herself cry
Oral
on
sex.
demand.
No, okay.
So that's what I believe she did in the Jamie Kern-Lima interview. Watch this.
We're at Soho House, Toronto, which is basically TIG headquarters for me. I write my stories here, I take my meetings here, and it's kind of amazing because all over the world, if I'm traveling, Soho House can still be home base.
Don't make yourself cry.
Yeah. Oh, I can do that so well. Oh my God, it's crazy. You're like, Meghan, one tear, left eye, go. Give me 3 seconds.
One tear, left eye, go. Give me 3 seconds. That's what she was known for at Suits, and that's what she did in the Jamie Kern-Lima interview.
Absolutely. Like I said, she can cry on command. She's not great at it. I mean, Meghan Markle's not an Academy Award winning actress. She's not winning a BAFTA for all you folks in the UK. No, she's not a great actress whatsoever. And it's why it took her that long. It took her decades to finally land a role on a semi-successful show. She did tell the royal family and portrayed herself as this huge Hollywood starlet. I'm here to tell you, 99% of people in America would have had no idea who Meghan Markle was if she hadn't have gotten with Prince Harry. But I'm working on a segment for my show Spot On called The Girls Who Blew It. And it's about all these girls, Ashley St. Clair, Meghan Markle, Blake Lively. They have it all. It's like a bell curve. They get to the top, they get to the guy, they're rich, famous, and then they come down and they blow it. And that is Meghan Markle, right? She's sociopathic enough. She knows how to put herself in the right place at the right time. She's very malleable. She's like a chameleon. She probably was telling Harry what he wanted to hear. She was wearing outfits she thought he would like. She was playing the game. She was able to bag the most eligible bachelor on earth. Then she has a royal wedding. She has a royal baby. But because Meghan Markle and a lot of these sociopaths are really their own worst saboteurs, she then blows it. And now she's living in exile, hawking jams, jellies, and dog biscuits, sort of like Ashley St. Clair. She's Ashley St. Markle to me. She gets Elon Musk. She has a baby with Elon Musk. She's living in a fancy apartment. She throws it all away for a little bit of clout to do a New York Post interview with John Levine and have her feet out, dirty feet out in the New York Post. If I were Ashley St. Clair, I would have sat there in that fancy apartment having a couple more babies with Elon Musk, and then I'd have generational wealth. Y'all would not hear a word from me. And that is what Meghan Markle should have done as well. She should have sat over there in the UK, had a few more kids for 5-10 years. The Queen would have passed away. Charles would have become king. And then if she wanted to spend more time in California, that would have been fine. But because she's her own worst saboteur, she only lasted 18 months, and now she's back there selling her dog biscuits. Good for you, Meghan. You go, girls. You go, girls. Good for you.
Oh my goodness, that is such a good idea for a segment because you're so right. Like, look at Blake Lively. You had it all. You even had the best friendship of Taylor Swift, something most celebrities crave. Yet your desire to destroy Justin Baldoni for some bizarre reason, like I've got my theory, maybe she fancied him, whatever. But your desire to do that led you to destroy your own career, destroy your own friendships, destroy your husband's reputation. And there are so many parallels between these two women. Now, Link, I know you'd also love to interview these women, but Piers Morgan has made a new bid to sit down with Meghan. And trust me, I would love to see that. Watch this.
I would love it.
But first, you know I never recommend anything unless I truly believe in it. And today I've got something which is game-changing for you when it comes to underwear. Have you ever stopped to think about how crucial comfort is down there? Well, let me tell you, today's Outspoken proudly sponsored by Sheath, the revolutionary brand shaking up men's comfort across the globe. This is what makes it even better, by the way. Sheath, and I love this, founded by a US Army veteran, Robert Patton, while he was serving in Iraq back in 2007. So that's right, this isn't just any underwear brand. It was designed for the toughest conditions imaginable. Patton was battling relentless heat and discomfort in full combat gear, and he thought there has to be a better way, so he created it. And let's be honest, traditional underwear just doesn't cut it anymore. Sheath's innovative dual pouch design ensures your comfort all day long, keeping things separate, cool, and fresh. So imagine your essentials being comfortably cradled away from unwanted friction and heat. Trust me, it's genuinely transformative. I've personally tested these at the gym, on long days at work, or just relaxing at home. And once you have experienced Sheath, there is simply no turning back. They're stylish, they're supportive, and they deliver unmatched comfort. It's like upgrading from economy to first class, but for your underwear. And right now, I am offering you an exclusive 20% discount at www.sheath.com. That's SHEATH. Although if you are watching, you can just click in the description box below. The link is there. But there is 20% off your entire order when you use my special promo code Outspoken at checkout. So what are you waiting for? Sheath is the perfect present for your husband, your boyfriend, your son, your brother, or hard to buy for best mates. There are also female versions available for ladies too, which you can see modeled here because Sheath is the official underwear of the UFC. So click on the link below or visit www.sheath.com and you can thank me later when you're feeling comfortable, confident, and ready to tackle anything your day throws your way. Remember to use Outspoken at checkout for 20% off. Sheath underwear, redefining comfort one pair at a time. But now, back to the show.
Have you talked to Meghan since?
I have not.
Do you think you should interview her? I feel like that would
I'd
be...
love to interview her.
It would be really
And Harry.
fascinating. Yeah.
Let's get them both in front of a camera. I have a few supplementary questions. First question would be, so let me get this straight. The royal family were racist about the skin colour of your unborn baby. This is what you said to Oprah Winfrey. And they also were so disgustingly callous that a senior member of the of the Buckingham Palace team told you, Meghan, you couldn't get help for having suicidal thoughts, even though your husband was a figurehead for a mental health charity. These are two unbelievable claims. I mean, shocking, horrific. If those things are true, the whole royal family should be disbanded. The monarchy should end. An odd thing happened. Prince Harry writes his book, full of incendiary claims and allegations. Do you know the two things that he didn't put in the book? The racism and the mental health stuff. It was like it never happened. And when he got asked about the racism, he said, oh, that was a media invention. So my first question would be, what happened to those claims? I think the damage those two have done to the royal family has been incalculable. The fact they were doing it as Prince Philip was dying and then the Queen was dying. The fact that King Charles has cancer now and doesn't speak to his son. I mean, all of it is horrendous. And here they are over here in California running around using their royal titles to make millions of dollars. And it's sickening.
Oh, give me that interview link. Give me that interview. Can I ask what you would ask Prince Harry and Meghan Markle if they came on spot on with Link Lauren?
So if Harry and Meghan came on spot on with Link Lauren, which you can subscribe to on YouTube.
I have.
I would probably want to go back to, I know that Dan, you're a real one. That's why I love you. But I would want to go back to the beginning. Right? Because I think the whole way they met is a little murky to me, right? Like they met on Instagram and he was scrolling through pictures and then they met up at Soho House and her best friend is the guy who works at Soho House or runs Soho House. I don't think he runs Soho House, but maybe he works there. So I wouldn't want to go all the way back. I want to go back to when they went to Botswana and she barely knew him and she threw her stuff in a bag and she went to Africa. I want to go back to that. And then I do really want to dive in, like any journalist should, to these racism claims. Because when you accuse some of the most famous people on earth of being racist and driving you to suicide, and there's really no follow-up question from Oprah, right? Oprah doesn't ask any probing question. She said, who was having that conversation? Meghan gave no answer. I don't think you should be able to just get away with saying things like that. I would also want to dive into who's really running Meghan Markle's brand, right? She portrays herself as this, feminist confessions of a female founder girl boss. I want to look into the ingredients that's in the jam and the jelly. I want to know who's running the business. I also want to come in and say, look, Meghan Markle, unsolicited career advice. You got way too much going on. The show is called With Love. The jams are as ever. The show is Confessions of a Female Founder. What the hell is going on with your branding? You're supposed to be some genius California girl, some business maven giving advice to others. Your brand is a hot mess. So that's number one. Number two, I want to dive into Prince Harry. What really is the issue with William? And I feel like a lot of times people go to therapy and the therapist digs up issues that maybe they didn't have before. I always warn my friends, if you want to go see a therapist, great, put your mental health first. But the therapist is sometimes incentivized to get you to keep coming back. So they dig up things that you weren't even thinking about. Prince Harry says, I didn't know how trapped I was until Meghan Markle came along. I didn't know how bad I had it and the prison I was living in until she came along and opened my eyes. To me, that feels manipulative, right? That's what a sociopath does. So I would want to dive in with Harry. How were you trapped? How were you living in a prison? Because it seems like you were living a charmed life, but you twisted the narrative once you left the royal family.
Oh my God, Link. I would so be there for that. I would so be there for that. Please.
But you know what I'm saying, Dan? When people go to therapy and they're actually like, okay, and then the therapist digs up all these issues like, well, how's your relationship with your dad? And they're like, well, I hadn't thought about that. You know what I'm saying? And so Prince Harry's like, Meghan came in and showed him how horrible his life was and they could escape and get out of the prison. Okay,
Whereas
let's
actually he was
hear
having a
about
pretty
what was
good
really
time. That was the thing before he met her.
I will take his place.
Yeah, he was really happy with his life. I also want to ask you about this episode of Confessions of a Female Founder this week. Don't worry, Link. I'm only going to put you through a very small portion of it, but I want to see if you picked up the same thing that I did here. So this is Meghan interviewing a woman called Hannah Mendoza. She runs Clever Blends, which is a hippy-dippy sort of turmeric
a real household brand
thing. Yeah, I mean, it's some sort of turmeric brew, and it's very Californian. But this woman is British, and so Meghan clearly has some type of affinity for her because, like her, she fled the horrible buttoned-up United Kingdom because she wanted to be with lots of other hippy-dippy people in touch with their emotions in California. But Meghan invested in her business, and so effectively, this is Meghan interviewing one of her staff members. So Hannah Mendoza has to go along with everything that Meghan says. But there's a moment where Meghan talks about their first meeting. And this is their first meeting when effectively Hannah Mendoza is pitching for business, pitching for Meghan's money to invest in Clever Blends. And I feel like Meghan has been a real mean girl in this clip, mocking her about the fact that she was wearing Birkenstocks and a silk jumpsuit. But as I say, listen, and I'm fascinated to see if you pick up on that same vibe.
The shadiness.
And I remember when you came to the house, we were sitting outside, and I just remember you kept shifting your feet in and out of your Birkenstocks. And I thought, oh my gosh, is this my first investment? And you weren't really pitching me.
I didn't know how to pitch.
No, but also, I wasn't asking for a pitch. I came to you. Do you remember I said to you, I was like, I was watching a lot of Shark Tank at the time. And I said, this is not Shark Tank. Think of this as Dolphin Tank.
Yes.
These are very friendly.
Dolphin Tank.
These are very friendly waters. It's all going to be good.
I just have to say, you reminded me of the Birkenstock moment. And my first thought was, what on earth was I thinking? Where I think I wore Birkenstocks and like a
linen jumpsuit.
Thinking out a linen jumpsuit in the morning and being like, well, this is the least wrinkled thing that I have. This is going to be very impressive. So you basically saw through the fact that I came to our first meeting practically barefoot and still believed that I could run a successful company.
By the way, I wear Birks at home. I think it's a really smart choice. There was no shame in your game. I was just struck by the fact that you were so comfortable in who you were. And yet at the same time, this was new for both of us. It was so new.
See, I felt Meghan was laughing at her there, not with her.
Well, Meghan Markle is in no position to give fashion advice because she looks like shit every time she leaves the house. Meghan Markle got $100 million from Netflix and she couldn't buy a steamer or an iron. How come everything is wrinkled, Miss Wrinkle Pants? Meghan Markle walks around looking like an utter calamity. So I don't know why this woman is feeling insecure about her fashion. Meghan Markle is really no fashionista with the scrawny legs and the big billowing wrinkled pants. She's wearing a potato sack. She's literally wearing a burlap sack half the time she leaves the house. So Meghan Markle, okay, she looks fine there. She looks decent, sure. I think the makeup and hair is great. She's been a little, probably zhuzhed up, a little nipped and tucked in California. But those pants are diabolical. Those pants are absolutely insane. And if we can pull up the outfit of when she was out at the Time magazine thing with Harry a few weeks ago, those pants could literally take flight. So nobody should feel insecure about their fashion about Meghan Markle. She is no fashionista. She is really lazy, plain, weird, Southern California, hello. If you jump out of an airplane, all you need are these pants and you will land safely on the ground, on God's green earth. But no, Meghan Markle looks like a disaster. So this woman, good for you wearing your Birkenstocks. We now know that you are a lesbian, but no, I'm happy for her. She can wear her Birkenstocks, but I would not ever feel insecure about fashion around Meghan Markle. Prince Harry has much better
all
fashion.
Of that to me, it just felt like Mean Girl vibes. Now, Link, can we please talk about you? Because what a few months you have had. You burst onto the scene as an advisor to RFK Jr. after he spotted some of the brilliant things you were doing on TikTok. I see you on social media and think, oh my goodness, this guy is great. You're on Megyn Kelly. All of a sudden, you're everywhere. You're at the White House. You're asking questions of the press secretary. Donald Trump is talking about you. And now you have been signed to launch one of the first shows on MK Media, Spot On, which is Megyn Kelly's own podcast network. So this whirlwind has been quite sensational. People are trying to sort of say that you are part of the MAGA wave, the new MAGA wave of independent media, which I think, well, I'll put it this way, I'm very jealous, actually, of that MAGA wave of independent media in the States. Is that how you view it? Do you put down a lot of your success to the change that Donald Trump has brought to the United States of America?
Well, I definitely think when Trump burst onto the scene in 2015, everyone said he's tweeting. Why is a presidential candidate tweeting? Well, that was his way of circumventing the mainstream media. If he didn't go to alternative media, to social media, he wouldn't have gotten his message out. Same with us on the Kennedy campaign. The mainstream media was giving us 100% bad press. So we went to TikTok and these other avenues. And so I'm so grateful to the White House, Caroline Leavitt, everybody on the press team for including me. I think a lot of other journalists and reporters take it for granted being at the White House. And for me, it's such an auspicious place. I really feel so grateful and like it's such a privilege to be there. And yeah, the past few years of my life have been such a whirlwind, but I thank God every day. And I know I've earned every viewer who watches me. I know the work I put in. I've churned out thousands of videos on TikTok when people weren't looking and really laid that foundation in the groundwork. And so I'm also incredibly grateful to Megyn Kelly. What's so funny, I was telling Megyn on the phone, I was like, years ago, one of my only career goals was to get on Megyn Kelly. I would ask everyone, when I started going out in 2023 and my TikTok was taking off, I would ask everyone, do you know Megyn Kelly? Can you get me on Megyn Kelly? And so to now be in business together and she's like mother of all mothers, icon, legend, gives amazing advice is really such a bizarre and full circle moment that there has to be some bigger force at play that I'm incredibly grateful for. And I couldn't be more excited for Spot On. And getting to ask President Trump a question, I didn't know that was going to go viral either. And you might be seeing, more of me asking questions in the future. I'm not going anywhere. In fact, I feel like I'm just getting started. It's only been, 2 years really on the scene.
Oh, you are just getting started indeed. And I absolutely love the trailer for Spot On, which launches on Monday. Should we have a little watch?
It's 2025. The Democrats are in free fall, stumping for gang members in men and women's sports. Disney is tanking. Dylan Mulvaney's writing memoirs. It's a crazy world we're living in. My name is Link Lauren, and I'm here to guide you through it all. But make no mistake, this is not a safe space. And if Kamala Harris, if it were her cocaine, she probably would have been a lot more productive as a vice president. They didn't think it was a threat to democracy having a brain-dead president, Joe Biden, for the last 4 years. I'm tired of people just giving James Carville his flowers because he's our elder. I'm not gonna just respect my elders. He is a swamp creature. My new show, Spot On with Link Lauren, officially launches Monday, May 12th with MK Media. I'm a content creator and political commentator who built trust with my audience by calling it like I see it. That's not changing. You might know me from TikTok, TV, the Kennedy campaign, and some of you might not know me at all. With Spot On, we're going to dive into the swampy waters of Washington, D.C., the woke cesspool of Hollywood, and everything in between.
Kamala Harris just sat down for an interview on Fox News, and it was an utter calamity.
I don't know what's going on with Jasmine Crockett. She wants to twerk. She doesn't want to work. And yes, we'll be talking about the Duke and Duchess of White Castle, Harry and Meghan, as well.
Now, I used to think Meghan Markle was cunning, calculated, conniving, probably some other words that start with a C and have 4 letters, but now I think she's a bird brain fool.
Let the games begin on Monday, May 12th. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.
I love this guy, whoever the hell that is.
Oh, well, Trump knows who the hell you are now. Honestly, I'm so excited. And you're completely right to point out, by the way, that this takes a lot of hard work. And I think the two key ingredients actually in this world are hard work and authenticity. Megyn Kelly has it in spades. So do you. I think it's going to be a huge success. I'm actually so excited to watch.
Thank you. No, thank you so much. And I'm super excited. One thing about me is I knew when I started out on TikTok, you're going to have to do thousands of videos. I don't care if you're exhausted. When that red light is on, you better turn it out because the audience needs to get their money's worth. And with the podcast, it's going to be no different. I'm so excited and so grateful. And May is a really interesting full circle month for me because May of 2023 is what kicked everything off. That's when I started covering King Charles' coronation on May 6th. Then May 10th, Trump did this crazy town hall on CNN, and that kind of got me into politics. And so it's really a full circle moment, this 2-year anniversary and signing with Meghan. And I'm just incredibly, incredibly grateful. There's people tell me all the time, you're too cutesy, you're too happy, it's annoying, you're not going to be taken seriously, you're too eager. I am eager and excited to be here. Hello, I was making videos in my room 2 years ago. So grateful and excited. I'm not one of these people who's like going to act like I've been there before and all cool and all that. No. I'm excited to work with Meghan. I'm excited for my career. And I want to address one last thing that you mentioned about MAGA and all this, because I had a barrage of hit pieces the last few days. They were calling me MAGA Malfoy, which is actually really funny. And y'all can be upset with me. All these little liberal journalists, y'all are mad that I'm at the White House asking questions. If I wasn't at the White House asking questions, what would you have to write about in your walk-up apartments in Brooklyn? Be glad we're at the White House asking questions. But this whole notion that I'm a pro-Trump influencer now, which is funny to my audience because I really just come down on the side of common sense. I am pro-Trump in many ways. I respect so much of what he's doing here in the States. I know there's a lot you guys want to have in the UK that we have. We have really tough immigration now. Our border is incredibly secure. We have way less crime on the street. We're getting gang members off the street. We're getting men out of women's sports. And so in that regard, I can't find much of anything that I disagree with President Trump on right now. I'm sure something will come up. But these journalists say I'm a pro-Trump influencer as almost a pejorative. Sure, I like the president. I think he's an icon and an entertainer, and the country is a lot safer. So if that makes me a pro-Trump influencer, great. I'm fine with that. Call me whatever you want. You know what I'm saying, Dan?
Oh, I do. And how old are you now, Link?
27.
So you have decades ahead of you. And that's what I think is so exciting. Like, to be at this place in your 20s, it's absolutely brilliant. I cannot wait to tune in to the show. And it's going to be released twice a week. Is that right?
Yes, we're going to do Mondays and Wednesdays, and I'm super excited. Then obviously I want to ramp up to a 3rd day and a 4th day because I'm a workaholic and there's so much going on.
Oh, come on, Link, you've got to do 5. I do 5, you can do 5. You'll get there. You'll get there soon enough.
Megyn Kelly does 2 hours a day, 5 days a week. And so for me, we're just trying to get the earpiece working, you guys. We have a practice show later today, a rehearsal. All I know is I will get on and deliver and give the audience what they need, and it's going to be no holds barred. And I know my audience is happy that at least the camera is now in high definition because I have gotten here just filming on the front camera of my iPhone.
This looks spectacular. The studio looks great. I'm so excited. And you say Megyn does 2 hours a day, right? Yesterday, or earlier in the week, she recorded a whole extra hour with me because she was so into the Prince Harry stuff. And so I've got to give a plug to this. Go and watch it on the Megyn Kelly feed because we get into all of the drama of the royal week. And that was an extra. So she must have done 3 hours that day. So she
She's
is a true
worker.
workaholic.
And now her team is spread more thin because her guy is working on my show. So I don't know when they're sleeping either, Dan. But
I'm so excited. Spot on
Thank you,
with
thank you.
Link Lauren.
Seriously, thank
Make sure you subscribe on YouTube. I'll put the link in the description. The first episode drops Monday. And do sign up to my Substack too, www.outspoken.live. Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.